Hello, and welcome to my presentation for second year BMO's Contemporary Music Performance, specialising in the guitar. I'll be talking about my practical musicianship module that I did for 2018/2019. To start, we looked at 3 genres for the year. We looked at Latin, jazz, country, and like acoustic fingerstyle. For these, we looked at the characteristics of each genre in terms of its scales and chords and the type of tone / type of guitar that you'll need to use for each genre for you to sound like it. We also looked at important figureheads of the genres. So, such as for country music, you would look at Johnny Cash or Dolly Parton, and basically taught us how to become or start to become session musicians in those genres, which I kind of hope to do, especially with 2 of the genres I'll be talking about. So a little hint into that later on. Overall, I found the year very enjoyable for the guitar, obviously because I love playing the guitar. Managed to collect a bit more, including the 4-string one there, but we're not going to talk about that today. And then a little tiny one who is hiding back here, which has actually proven to be quite useful in terms of my chord knowledge for the last 4 strings in jazz and Latin, since this is a baritone ukulele. And it's basically the last 4 strings on the guitar. So if you know how to play guitar, you know how to play this. I found it really fun to play. But enough about that. Let's talk about the guitar. So we started off with Latin in September. For this we looked at bossa nova and Brazilian rhythms. For this we looked at Antonio Carlos Jobim most of the time. He has an album on Spotify that I downloaded quite a few years ago, and I've been listening to that all the time. And just basically going on YouTube and trying to find the certain techniques that you need to learn for bossa nova style picking. So it's mostly your thumb and 3 fingers, and they kind of move a bit independently. It's quite fun, quite interesting rhythms. It's perfect for if you're in like a duo, or if you're in a band and you want to make comping a bit more interesting. Instead of just strumming normal chords, you're playing more melodically, and you're thinking about the harmony within the chords that you're playing. Yeah, with Carlos Jobim, I looked in the real book as well as going on YouTube. I found it difficult to grasp the style at first in terms of trying to independently move your thumb, but I've been doing that for a couple of years, so it wasn't too bad to grasp. Practice. I could have played my interpretation of the chords. That was an option that I could have done with bossa nova, and just kind of blag my way through the songs. But I thought it would be better in the long run to slow down tracks that I'm listening to, such as Blue Bossa or Agua de Bebe, and look at the specific way that they're playing the guitar, exactly where they're playing it, the chord on the frets. So example, you could, if it says C, you could just play kind of like first position C. It'd sound nice, it'd sound very vanilla. Or you could kind of have a more bossa style of it and play position 4, C dominant 7, which kind of adds a bit more flavour to it, makes it more exotic. In terms of chords, it would mostly be 7ths, I found, with Latin and bossa nova. But you'd also have kind of altered scales where you can add more of like a Phrygian tone. You have the sharp 5 or flattened 9, they're quite popular. And I found they're really nice to kind of integrate into my playing. So, say if you're playing C minor 9 I found it really fun to kind of jump between C minor 9 and G7 sharp 5. That's really fun. It just adds more of like a exotic tone to it. In terms of the scales, I would use harmonic minor sometimes when they're playing the major chords, because that sounds quite kind of like Latin-y, like kind of like a Southern Europe sound. And then I'd also play Phrygian as well. That's a really popular one for that genre. Also tried out the Superloquian. That's quite fun to play with kind of like bossa nova backing tracks or samba backing tracks. That's really fun. And the first song I learned in a bossa nova style was Agua de Bebe, and I did the Astrid Gilberto's, don't know if I'm saying that right, version of the song. I played it slowly, like I said, to the rhythm on YouTube. I learned this in B, which turned out to be the wrong key for when I was playing it in university and playing it in the lectures. So I just transcribed it to A in my head, which took some getting used to. But then after going on this course for 2 years, you kind of learn how to transcribe quickly, which is really great in the long run. I was going to do fingerstyle Samba de Uma Nota So, and I looked at the Catalina Valente version, but there was also a really good fingerstyle version of it that I saw. Samba de Uma Nota So means the one-note samba, so I thought that was really interesting to put into fingerstyle, where you're constantly just playing the same note. Okay, I think I did E, I think. Yeah, I played in E. And then you'd have to constantly try and like hit that note every single time when you're playing it, and I found that really fun. Very different to what I've done before. I then looked at Girl from Ipanema, which I now do whenever I do gigs and shows, and that is really fun. I looked at the Astrid Gilberto version, but now I do the Frank Sinatra one, because harmonically it's nicer, you know, the chords that they add on. I transcribed it from the piano, so it's really fun to play now. And the way that I do it is I comp in a bossa nova style the phrase, and then I go into a fingerstyle version where I try and pluck out the melody as well as doing the chords at the same time, and then I go back to comping. And then what I usually do is loop a comped section and then improvise over the top with all the scales that I've learned for to make it sound Latin. For the future with Latin, I do plan to use it quite a lot. I'd love to go to Brazil to learn more about bossa nova. I really want to go down to Spain to learn more about salsa music or rumba. I do salsa dancing, so it'll be quite interesting if I can, you know, go on stage and play and do rumba at the same time. That'd be quite cool. And I've also just in the past couple of months looked at Django Reinhardt's stuff. So I want to kind of integrate that into my work, like using what's he use? Like he uses whole half diminished scale in his work, and he just makes it sound really nice. So I love that, and the Reinhardt strumming with the right hand technique. I'm still trying to get that. Kind of been okay with it because I've been focusing on my funk as well with Volpec, so that was good. But I'll need to look into that more. For jazz, started looking over it in the summer because I really wanted to kind of get a head start, because I knew that we were doing jazz and I knew that it would be really difficult to do. Obviously it takes years to become an established jazz musician, and after this year of doing it, I do want to aspire to carry on learning about jazz techniques and going and seeing what people do and working up my portfolio in a jazz context. Yeah, I frequently went to Porter's. and other bars just to look at other jazz musicians, and to hear how they interpret certain songs, and transcribe improvising ideas that I hear. Mostly from saxophone. I found I really like the way that saxophonists solo. Also keyboards. I bought a keyboard effects pedal. Doesn't sound exactly like one, but you know, it's good enough. It's easier than learning the actual keyboard if I can play it all on the guitar anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed transcribing that. But I did find comping really fun. I love doing the rhythmic side of playing. I find it's where I kind of I'm more advanced in comping, but I do want to get my improvising up, so I will be learning more from that. I've got the real book always by my side, so I need to look through that more thorough and just get used to all the songs. Hopefully try and get into a jazz band and do standards, or any kind of jazz that I can find. I just want to kind of be more immersed with it. Might go in and do my masters in Royal Welsh doing jazz. I don't know, but it's quite fun. I found it the most stimulating so far out of all the genres I've done throughout university. That and blues, because you know, blues is kind of where I started, like blues and metal. Yeah, I decided to buy the real book because I knew that I wanted to work with other bands doing jazz. So I thought that it's kind of a must if you need, if you want to get into that kind of scene. Improvising, I said, I've been struggling with over the year, but I have been working on it to get a high standard. I found still needs a lot of work done with it. I just need to slow down, kind of understand what I already know, because I can make my way through the frets, and you know, I know all the fret now. I know the scales. I know scales in all the positions. I've learned all the chords pretty much. It's just when I play them, it just sounds like I'm doing scales. So I need to learn more phrases. I just need to get kind of like a backpack full of phrases, or that work over, you know, 251s, minor 251s, and just kind of work that in, make it just sound more musical and not stress too much about it. For the scales that I learned, I already knew them for my grade 8, apart from some of the melodic minor modes, but I did brush over them, so it wasn't too much stress to learn them. Melodic minor was a big one for jazz. It's used on a lot of the songs, and it just works very well to kind of have that jazzy sound. Lydian dominant was a new one that I learned this year. That was quite fun. And Super Locrian, I found really easy to kind of learn and get through my fingers. And then I've also started to learn all of the modes of the melodic minor and harmonic minor. I know some people say that you don't need to, but you know, it's kind of something that's quite fun to know about and see. If I'm playing like a C7 sharp 11, I'll know like, oh, this chord will make it sound quite Egyptian, or this chord will make it sound slightly warm, or this one will, this scale will make it sound more dreamy. So that's what I was thinking about. But yes, jazz is definitely something I want to work on later on in life. Favourite songs from this year in jazz have been Anthropology and Giant Steps. I love that one. And Footprints, for what we did for the exam. I loved that one as well. For country, it took me a while to get into it, but I do really like the Travis Pickin. I watched Tommy Emmanuel and he kind of got me more into it, because you could see how there were like skilled country musicians out there, because I didn't really know, because obviously I'm not American, so I don't really know about that. I ended up choosing April Come She Will for my fingerstyle piece, which showed my ability to Travis Pick, and it also showed off an array of fingerstyle techniques that I learned on the guitar. But if I was to do the exam again, I'd play it to a metronome, because I stupidly said, no, it's fine, I'll do it by myself. But then, obviously, I don't know, got too excited from doing Eastbound and Down, so I might have gone too quick for April Come She Will, but you know, it was really fun. And I did kind of play around with the dynamics whilst I was performing, which I found quite cool to do, to kind of still have the control of the finger picking, but also like dialing it down and being softer, you know, showing that you can have dynamic techniques within your work. Yeah, Eastbound and Down was really fun to play. It alluded to my acoustic playing outside of university, which I do quite a lot. So it made it easy for me to connect to the song. When the solo comes around, it's like, what is it, like 2 guitars and banjo. So I wanted to get kind of like a banjo sound, just for it to sound a bit different. So what I did is I picked really high up next to the bridge, so almost kind of touching like right at the end of the string, so then you have that kind of twangy sound, so it sounds just like a banjo. And I love doing it like that. I played on my, I played on this one here, so I had quite a nice deep wood sound with the mahogany, and that was really fun. Played with no reverb, because country, you don't really want reverb unless, I don't know, unless there is a country song with reverb, but I wouldn't really pick it. Yeah, when the solo came along, it was all good. At the end, there's a fade out with a banjo solo, and I kind of wanted to show what I've been learning in terms of chicken picking for this. So that was really fun to do. Yeah, I found it really interesting to play. I did use some techniques that I learned from grade 8, because I did a country piece for my grade 8, so I did use some of my improvising there, transposed it and played it here, which was kind of the first time I've actually played like a phrase that I've taken from a different thing that I've done, so that was quite big on my improvising. In the future I may look at country more. I think I'll focus most of my time towards jazz, to be honest, but I do like the acoustic idea of it. I may buy banjo to see how to play it properly, because obviously, you know, you go to Nashville and there's a huge music scene there, so I would like to enjoy it. I just need to get into it a bit more. Yeah, with the fingerstyle, I've been talking about it for the whole 17 minutes and 40 seconds right now. So I already knew some of the basics. With Neon, I first tried to get the pattern where he plays, because he just plays thumb and pointer finger, and he like moves through the string and just strictly moves like that. It's really fun to play. It took me a couple of hours to get it, but once you do get it, it's fine and it's easy to play. And then it's just the thumb, really. You can't try and like grip the guitar and play kind of the bottomy with your thumb, and try and get the other notes as well, because all the chords were quite difficult because it was in drop C, so you had to kind of change the way that you're thinking to kind of match that. I did also look at slapping a little bit for the fingerstyle for Neon, but I ended up not using Neon at all, because I found that I was better at April Come She Will, and it would have been a better grasp of how I play with April Come She Will rather than Neon. But I may kind of post something online about Neon later on. It was really fun. But overall, I found this year really kind of eye-opening. I really liked the Latin. I'm definitely going to do that more. I want to kind of get more books and kind of understand more musicians who do Latin. There's not much of a Latin scene here, apart from, you know, when I go out learning how to salsa. That's the only time I know about Latin music in Cardiff. So I do want to kind of either open the scene or see who's there, and get immersed with it, because there's only a couple of Latin bands I've seen here, but they have been amazing. And also with jazz, you know, I go see Neil all the time when he plays with his band, and they're always amazing. So with country, I'll probably give it a miss. I don't know, I kind of want to focus my time on jazz to become kind of an established jazz musician. and most importantly try and get my improvising up. But anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next year. Thank you for teaching me, Simon.